syndrome was discovered by two psychologists, Doctors Clance and Imes, in the late 1970s. And they were working in a college counseling center, and they started to see this phenomenon largely in women initially when they started to look at it, and started to wonder, what is this thing? These women are highly achieved, accomplished, yet they sort of always are concerned that they are going to be discovered as a fraud. And they began to examine this phenomenon. And they found these were the typical signs of having imposter syndrome. So high achieving, very successful, have expertise, accomplishments, experience, credentials, and yet this experience of that those things have come as a result of luck, a mistake, overwork, a relationship, and that they're very commonly engaging in this experience of discounting praise, feeling very fearful and guilty about success, feeling a fear of failure simultaneously, and this fear of any mistake could be this exposure of your fraudulence or incompetence. The behaviors of micromanaging and overworking are often indicators of imposter syndrome. And the reason why with micromanaging is that micromanaging is kind of getting overly involved in your direct reports functioning in their tasks, because you're concerned if they make a mistake, it will reveal your incompetence. Oftentimes, it can result in difficulty making mistakes and not being able to tolerate it in others, really being hard on mistakes and really feeling low tolerance for mistakes, feeling undeserving or not leveraging a moment. So feeling like you don't necessarily deserve your position, you don't deserve the promotion, you don't deserve the raise, or having a really amazing moment and not, in your work and achieving something and just blowing it off and being like, oh, it wasn't a big deal. We call it the 3Cs model. In the first level of the model called Clarify, it's really about understanding how you got to where you got to with your imposter syndrome. What led you there? So we take a look at like family history and dynamics, and then we also take a look at your narrative. What is your narrative? What do you tell yourself about how you perform, who you are, what is your expertise? And then we have you then talk about speaking your truth. So identifying your strengths, being able to talk about them, being able to begin the process of internalizing those strengths, which is so central to imposter syndrome. We encourage you to work on silencing and knowing your automatic negative thoughts or your ants. And then the next piece is around valuing your self-care. So one of the things that people with imposter syndrome are really bad at is caring for themselves. In the list of priorities of things they need to take care of, themselves is usually the bottom thing. And learning how to really thoughtfully and strategically care for yourself and rejuvenate yourself, especially when you have a propensity to overwork, is so central to actually overcoming the imposter syndrome. And then the final phase, create, we talk about experimenting with new roles. Oftentimes people with imposter syndrome are very good at being in very rigid roles, but you have to expand your roles and get away from some of the traditional roles that have kept you in the imposter syndrome.